I'm going to invite you to take your notes out of your bulletin. And while you're reaching in your bulletin, there are a couple other things that are there. Of course, the connection card, we'd like you to fill that out, everyone that's here. And in your bulletin on the front page, you'll see some ideas and some opportunities for you. One thing you'll notice there is an online directory. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to, as a church, have an x-ray. You know, some of you have gone to a doctor and gotten a physical. And the doctor's job is to kind of look over your life, your body, and say, identify if there are any issues. You know, what's your heart like, and what's your blood pressure, and they kind of give you a physical, and they monitor certain things. And in 15 years, that's never happened at First Baptist Church as a church, and so we've invited someone who really specializes in churches and in their health. And they're going to take a look. And you're going to help us. And this is how you can help us. You can help us by filling out a survey of what you think, feel, and what is going on with your life here at church anonymously. And the way that you can do that that's most convenient and fastest is to do it online. So what we'd like you to do, first step to that, is to, as you leave this room today, visit the lobby. And we have an online directory. And just update your name, your telephone number, your email. So we'll be able to get in touch with you and send you this online survey that you can take and help us out. So that's coming. That's step one for that help you can give us. Also, next Sunday is Discover First class. We'd like to invite you. Many of you received an invitation, a card, but if you didn't, this is an orientation class to First Baptist, kind of go through who we are and what we believe God is calling us to, give us a chance to get to know each other a little better. And also, we're on the bottom of the front page of the bulletin, you see an invitation to you to be a part of teacher appreciation for teachers at Boise High and North Junior High, our neighboring schools. You can help us by providing food, and we want to give them a gift for their teacher lounge. And so you can read that and participate with us. Well, I have a confession to make. I picked TCU. Not because I wanted to. I'm, like most of you, a big BSU fan. I see some wearing orange and blue today. I have never seen anything like what has happened in our town in the last week, with one perhaps possible exception, that being the week of 9/11. So much of a buzz. I go into a restaurant, and just about every booth, this is a couple of days after the game, people are talking about the game. Where we're going to be ranked. Did you see this? Did you see that? And, of course, then those who come back from down south in Arizona come back and they're on cloud nine, and it's the talk. I was at a wedding, and people couldn't stop talking about the football game. How weird is that? But I picked TCU because I watched both teams. I told you last week I'm a big football fan, and TCU, because of their defense and their speed, I just thought, and I watched BSU, struggle with some teams they should have beat, and they did beat, but you go, these two teams are going to hit, and TCU by 2 touchdowns. I don't bet on teams, but that's what my pick was, and so I'm here to confess that, and I feel much better. But I do want to talk about victory. There's nothing like victory. The old wide world of sports said the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And there really is a big difference between the two. I don't know what TCU fans felt like the next week. This last 6 days. But they couldn't have felt any kind of the euphoria that has been going around this town. And you watch the post game, and people wouldn't leave the stands. And the players were late for their post-game interviews because they didn't leave the field. They couldn't take the smiles off their face. Victory is something that some of us have experienced at different times in our life, and it's a whole lot better than defeat. And we're going to talk about victory. In fact, the title of this message today and the series is The Road to Victory, because we're not talking now football, we're talking life. We're talking about our walk with God. How do you experience that kind of euphoria, that kind of joy, that kind of celebrative attitude in your life because you feel like that with you and God, you're making progress, you're winning battles. You see, many of us go through life, and there is this cloud of defeat when it comes to our life, when it comes to our spiritual walk with God, when it comes to our own sin. How do we get above that? How do we win? I want to make 4 observations about victory very quickly, and then we'll dip into the scriptures by way of introduction to this series. And today we're going to do step 1 of 8 steps to take the road to victory. But I want to make this obvious statement. Victory is better than defeat, right? Let's just start there. And it's something that we want to experience more of. Number 2 observation is victory in life is harder than you think. It's certainly harder to have victory in life than it is in sports. Just ask Tiger Woods. Here's a guy who made over $100 million in 2009, voted Athlete of the Decade. You could not conceivably have a better decade in his profession than he had. And the popularity. But underneath the surface, what couldn't be seen was a life that most of us didn't know about, that was eroding, was eating away. And now he's holed up in his home. Who knows what he's thinking? Who knows what he's going through? But it's a lot tougher to succeed in life than it is even in sports or in your profession. Some of you are wildly successful in your professions, and you're good at what you do. And you've seen some real achievements come your way and accolades. And yet in life, it's not so easy. The third observation is no one achieves victory alone. No one achieves victory alone. This is one that Christians have a sense of, but we haven't seemed to get a handle on and implement to any degree like Jesus wants us to. We don't achieve victory in life without help. You know, one of the plays, the play in the Fiesta Bowl, that really changed the tide. You know what play I'm talking about. It was the fake punt. It occurred at 9 minutes, 47 seconds into the fourth quarter. Now, I just throw this up here just to kind of refresh your memory. You remember where you were at? You remember what you were thinking when you saw Kyle Efaw catch that ball? Everyone in our house, and there were a few people there, all jumped up off the couch and were like, yeah! Because we knew the game was tied 10-10. You could see overtime coming. You could see this thing perhaps slipping away. The magic was not there. And suddenly it's back. 29-yard gain. 4 plays later, they're in the end zone. The only touchdown the offense scored the whole game. But it was enough. It was enough. Now, what I didn't realize at the time, but I had some sense of, but not nearly to the degree, was how much planning and strategy went into that 7-second play. That play, I timed it, took 7 seconds. And it changed a 60-minute game. Now, if you read the article in the newspaper, actually there's been several, but it's been on several news outlets. What went on? It's called Riddle, was the name of the play, right? And it was named after a coach that left 5 years earlier, who designed it. Jeff Choate, now the special teams coach, resurrected it, called Kent Riddle on the phone, talked about that play, tried to put it in the playbook. Coach Pete says, no, it's not ready. It's been used. Of course, you can never use the same trick play twice in a good team that's got a lot of time to prepare. And so Choate flipped it. Right became left, left became right. Still not enough. So they tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it until we were ready to, if we had to, throw in a fake punt, which they tried earlier in the game, right? And a player on the field who's designated, J.C. Persey, is the green light, red light man. And he said, red light, the defense had shifted. It was not red. We couldn't run this. Later in the game, they did run it, but only after Jason Robinson, one of the players, safety, made a recommendation, which they implemented. They changed the play in the game on the fly.